Once you have your thesis statement and a plan for your body paragraphs to come, now it's time to write the hook. There are several different styles of hooks for an academic essay. When you're choosing your hook style, you first want to consider the tone of your essay. Are you covering a heavy topic like a comparison contrast about civil rights? If so, your hook should be serious or somber in tone. Are you writing about a light topic, like an analysis of a humorous text? Your hook should be humorous or lighthearted. The hook sets the tone for the entire essay. Let's take a look at some hooks that are appropriate for academic writing. The first example that we're going to look at is a startling statistic or a surprising fact. This example might work really well for a cause and effect essay about car accidents. Globally, over 3,000 people die in driving accidents every day. And then you can see at the end of that statement, I have an in-text citation in MLA style. So of course, when you have a fact or a statistic, you're going to cite that fact or statistic, and it's going to correspond to a source on your works cited page. That's something that we'll be learning throughout English 101. The next example, which is pretty popular, is a quotation. So this would be a great way to open an essay that was a rhetorical analysis of John Steinbeck's book, East of Eden. Nearly all men are afraid, and they don't even know what causes their fear. Shadows, perplexities, dangers without names or numbers, fear of a faceless death. But if you could bring yourself to face not shadows but real death, then you need never be afraid again, at least not the same way you were before. Then you will be a man set apart from other men, safe where other men may cry in terror. This is the great reward. And then again, you could see an MLA citation for a book, Steinbeck, 26. Moving to the other side of the screen, a third option is to begin with a vivid image. Here's an example that might work for a persuasive essay about school uniforms. Students march in a single file line, wearing the same khaki shorts and deep blue polo-style shirt, each marked with an emblem of laurel. They are quiet and obedient as they march across campus, their eyes facing forward. Not one student stands out from the crowd. From that vivid image, which invites the reader to form a mental picture in their head, one can also get a gist of where the essay is going. The author's argument is already starting to be clear from the hook. Lastly, a hook that you might try is a brief anecdote or an analogy. This one might work for a personal narrative essay exploring the topic of depression. I sat on the bottom of the pool, staring up through the water toward the warm summer sun. The air in my lungs burned, and every cell in my body longed to resurface. I could see my friends lounging poolside, but from my vantage point they seemed so far away. It was easy for me to come up for air that hot summer day before my senior year of high school, but it was so much harder for me to emerge from the depression I faced in the months that followed. You could see that that one is an analogy, comparing the experience of being at the bottom of a pool looking up to the experience of depression. You'll also note that this fourth one is written in the first-person point of view. You can only write in the first-person point of view if the essay itself has explicitly requested first-person point of view. You'll notice that examples 1, 2, and 3 are all in the third-person point of view, which is appropriate for most academic essays. I hear you all out there. What about questions? I thought we could open an essay with a question. I know that since elementary school, you've had English teachers advising you that a great way to open an essay is with a question. And you know, when you were 10 or 12 or even 14, that may have been a great strategy for you. But now you're in college. So let's talk about some of the ways that a question will fail you as a college writer. And then I'll give you a few pieces of advice on how to use a question appropriately if you really must use a question. So first, let's look at the left side of the screen. Here are some problems with opening a college-level essay with a question. First, the writer frequently asks a question in the second-person point of view, which is not acceptable in academic writing. Second-person point of view is when we use the word you, like I'm doing with you now, because I am an instructor talking to you personally. YOU is too informal for academic writing, so it's not something that we do in college. Number 2, questions are often worded as yes or no questions, which lead the reader to a dead end. Do you like hot dogs? Nope. Closing the essay and moving on. Finally, questions can feel choppy, short, or amateurish because, frankly, you learned it when you were in the 4th grade. Sometimes a question can make an essay not feel like it's flowing very nicely as it opens. So with that in mind, let's talk about how you could use a question if you really must. First, make sure that you're writing in the third-person point of view. No I, me, my, you, your, or you are, unless your instructor has given you an essay topic that requires that you write in the first-person point of view. Don't ask a question that can be answered with a yes or a no. Instead, opt for a thought-provoking rhetorical question, something open-ended, something that makes your reader think. Spend time fleshing out the hook. You could do this by proposing possible answers to your rhetorical question, which will also prepare the reader for the argument of the body of the essay.